Okay, let's go on to page 14. Sketch y equals to x squared minus 2x plus 2. Now, if you remember, this is the same curve that they told us to sketch over here. And we realized we got stuck when we could not find the x-intercepts. But we do know now that if we have the equation in the completed square form, then we can at least find the turning point and the y-intercept, even though there may be no x-intercepts. Okay, so let's come to this question. Y equals to x squared minus 2x plus 2. Okay, we already know there are no x-intercepts for that equation. So, let us do this step by step. We're going to find the shape first. Okay, I'm doing part 1. Find the shape of the curve. Of course, it's going to be a happy face because coefficient of x squared is positive. It's a 1. Okay, so shape is happy face. Then, since I know there are no x-intercepts, let's go on to the y-intercept first. Y-intercept is when x is 0. So, you sub in x is 0, you will get y equals to 0 squared minus 2 times 0. These two terms are gone. Y is just equals to 2. And then, we need to move on to the turning point. Now, we need to know this equation in the completed square form first before we can find the turning point. So, let's do completing the square right now. You guys are so familiar with this already. This will become x minus 1, whole thing square, minus 1. Plus 2. Okay, this rectangular bracket is your x squared minus 2x. Okay, so when I simplify this, I will get x minus 1 whole thing squared plus 1. Now, this is my completed square form. And from this form, what is my turning point? My turning point is immediately 1, 1. Excellent. It is so easy to find the turning point, right? Okay, so how do I sketch this? I have my y-intercept, I have my turning point, I have my shape. Can I start sketching? Of course. So I draw in my axis, I draw in my curve. How do I know that my curve is floating? Because I have no x-intercepts, right? So when I have no x-intercepts, it means that my curve does not even touch the x-axis. It's completely above the x-axis, okay? And I will cut the y-axis at 2 because that's my y-intercept, right? And I will turn somewhere around here in the positive x and y side because my turning point is 1, 1. That is why we need to find all the information first before we start sketching, because we need to know the position of the curve, okay? So we've gotten our turning point and our y-intercept. And to make it more complete, you can add in the line of symmetry. Label the line of symmetry. It is the x equals to 1. Okay. So I think it's even better if you can also label the curve, because previously I was telling you about all these points that we missed out labeling the curve, but I think it's even better to just label the curve. Whether it's a sketch or a plot, just label. Excellent. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Actually, I would like to plot this on Desmos just to do a double check. So y equals to x squared minus 2x plus 2, right? X squared minus 2x. Is it plus 2? Yes, it's plus 2. Very good. It's a floating happy face. And y-intercept is 2. Turning point is 1, 1. Do you all see that? Do you all see that? This is exactly what we have sketched. That's excellent. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Oh, hence find the coordinates of the x-intercepts of the graph. Part 2, basically there are no x-intercepts. Okay, so just say no solution. Alright, let's go to this question. Sketch the graph of y equals to negative x squared minus 4x minus 5. Okay, now I'm going to start off by coming up with a shape. Okay, the shape will be a sad face because it is negative x squared, so it will be downward. And after that, I'm going to try and factorize to find the x-intercepts. So the x-intercept is when y is 0, right? So I'm going to let this be equal to 0. Try to factorize. Negative x squared, negative 4x, negative 5, negative x, x. 5 and 1 must go somewhere. Let's say I have negative 5 here and 1. When I multiply, I would get 5x plus x, which will not give me negative 4x. So let's try to shift this over here. This will be negative 5x minus x, which will give me negative 6x, so I still can't do it. So basically, factorization doesn't work. And if I try to apply formula, x equals to negative b plus minus square root b squared minus 4ac. Okay, a is negative 1, b is negative 4, c is negative 5. So negative. Okay, and I sub into negative b plus minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. I realize over here, this part itself can't be done. Okay, this would give me a 16 minus, this would be 5 times 4, right? So 16 minus 20 cannot, this would already give me a negative 4. How to square root negative 4? So cannot be done. Okay, basically from this I realized that there will be no x-intercepts at all. That means the graph will not cut the x-axis at all. So now is the time for me to go and complete the square, because all I need is the y-intercept and the turning point. So x-intercepts, there are no x-intercepts. Okay, let's move on to the y-intercept. Y-intercept is when x is 0. So when I sub x 0, I will get y equals to negative 5. That's my y-intercept. And how about my turning point? Okay, in order to find the turning point, I need to complete the square first. So this is exactly why we learned completing the square before this. Remember, when your a is not 1, you need to factorize out that a. We learned this long ago under completing the square. The 15 question worksheet that I've given you, I've covered all the different types. So you factorize out the negative 1 from the first two terms. You get negative of x squared plus 4x. Leave the negative 5 outside. Do completing the square for whatever is here. So this becomes x plus 2 square minus 2 square. And there's still a minus 5 outside. Okay, so this will become negative of x plus 2 square plus 4 minus 5, which is negative of x plus 2 square minus 1. Excellent. Okay, now that we have it in the completed square form, what is the turning point? Turning point will be this. Okay, make sure you're completing the square is done correctly. If not, it will affect everything. Okay, so your turning point will be negative 2 comma negative 1, because remember I must make this bracket 0, so x value is negative 2 and the y value is the number over here, which is negative 1. Very good. We have our turning point, we have the y-intercept, we have the shape. The shape is a sad face. Can I start sketching? Of course. So this is how my sketch looks like. My turning point must be over here. Take note that both my x and my y values are negative. So this is negative 2 comma negative 1, which means the position of the curve must be over here, right? And my y-intercept is negative 5. There are no x-intercepts, so the curve should not cut the x-axis, and that's all. I'm done. Okay? And if I want, of course, I can insert the line of symmetry to make it more complete. So x equals to -2, and label the curve. The curve is y equals to -x squared minus 4x minus 5, and that's it. Alright. Okay, moving on to example 15. Sketch y equals to -x plus 3 whole thing squared plus 4. So immediately the shape will be a set face because of the -x squared. Okay, my a is negative, so it will be a set face. And now I'm going to find out the turning point first because it's already in the completed square form. So my turning point is immediately -3, 4. Okay, I need to make the bracket 0, so x is -3 and y will be 4. What about the y-intercept? Okay, let's find the y-intercept. Sub in x equals to 0. You would get y equals to negative of 0 plus 3 whole thing square plus 4. This is -9 plus 4, which is -5. So y-intercept is -5. What about the x-intercept? Okay, for the x-intercepts, you will sub in y equals to 0. So when you sub in y equals to 0, you would get 0 equals to -x plus 3 whole thing square plus 4. Add the x plus 3 square on both sides. You would get this. Take square root. Plus minus 2. So x is equals to -3 plus minus 2. You solve, you will get x equals to -3 plus 2, which is -1. Or x is -3 minus 2, which is -5. So these are your two x-intercepts. Okay? So what do I have? I have the shape, I have the turning points, I have the y-intercept, I have the x-intercepts. Can I start sketching? Of course. Right, so this is my curve. It's downward shaping and it cuts at -5 and -1 on the x-axis. Cuts the y-axis at -5 over here. That's the y-intercept. And my maximum point or the turning point is at -3, 4. My y is positive, but my x is negative, so that's why it's -3. Alright, okay. Draw the line of symmetry and draw the line of symmetry. It should be x equals to -3. This is the equation of the line of symmetry, and the curve has this equation, -x plus 3 squared plus 4. Alright, very good. I hope you've learned something about sketching. Catch me in my next video for a quick summary of the various different types of equations and what are the unique properties of each type of curve. Alright?